here that quick. Wow. Anyway, let's go ahead and start the live. Wow, that's crazy how quick you got here. So I do want to talk about a few subjects today. Now, I obviously asked a question before I got into the live with everybody else is it possible, because there's a lot of detractors for President Trump, is it possible that maybe the American public, the constituency, the voters are being a bit too hard on Trump? You hear him getting criticized all the damn time. You hear him always being criticized. But I'm asking, is it possible that maybe the voters are a bit harsh on him? He's only been in office for 4 months. Some would suggest you got to get a man a chance before you start coming down on him. So we're going to talk about it from that standpoint. We can talk about, the fact that he's only been in a short time, but there are some accomplishments in there. There are things to question. So it depends on how you look at it. But I am asking that question: how am I pronouncing that? I don't want to get it wrong. Is the American public too harsh on Trump? I guess is would be the word for that. So he's the only one holding our economy together, says Heather Mermaid, Dog's Room. So I would ask that. That's a good point she's making. Do you believe that without Trump, the economy would be in shambles? Or better yet, how did you view the economy when Trump became president? Let's say Inauguration Day, January 20th, 21st of this year. If you go back to January 5th, January 5 of this year, about 15 days before Trump took office, how was the economy in your eyes? How are we doing economically? Do you feel that from the 1st of January to now, you've seen significant improvements in the economy? Whether it's the price of groceries, the price of fuel, many were talking about the price of eggs. Now, I want to just say something real quick. The price of eggs, look, I think we all know that's due to the bird flu. Trump and the right hammered Biden over the price of eggs, but fact is, that should not be factored into the economy, because it wasn't, the price of eggs was not altered due to any economic screw up by the last administration. Because once Trump became president and the price of eggs was still high, he immediately started telling you it was the bird flu. So I know a lot of folks are using the price of eggs to judge the economy, but that's artificial. What happened with egg prices has nothing to do with anything Biden or Trump has done with the economy. That was due to the bird flu, and they ended up destroying a whole lot of chickens. And with a shortage of chickens, there was a shortage of eggs. That's nothing to do with the economy. But folks have been using that as a gauge to judge the economy. But we're talking about promises made, promises kept. I want to give you folks, as always, I come with clips. I want you folks to hear this, because this one is based on Trump's campaign promise. We're talking about promises made, promises kept. Now, this was on Fox earlier today.
In nations, and we're trying to get that whole thing wrapped up.
President Trump on Russia and Ukraine agreeing to immediately begin ceasefire negotiations. What that looks like, we do not know. Trying to stop that bloodbath. Former CIA Moscow Station Chief Dan Hoffman. And Dan, good morning to you. You say Putin wants military victory in Ukraine, not a peace deal. What does victory look like to Putin?
Yeah, so look, Ukraine has agreed to a 30-day ceasefire, and that's something that Putin refuses to agree to. He has said that Russia will work on a memorandum to consider all the issues related to a potential peace deal, but his own press spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, says that the time for that memorandum to write it is undefinable. It could last quite some time. That, coupled with Russia's ongoing military attacks, including the massive drone strikes, over 100 of them last night, indicate that Putin has no desire to stop the war that he started over 3 years ago. For him, military victory means toppling the government in Kyiv. That's been his strategic objective from the very beginning. He's happy to have negotiations or discussions with President Trump. It's a way for him to be less diplomatically isolated, and he wants to avoid the secondary sanctions that Senator Lindsey Graham and others have talked about implementing that would also impact Russia's economy negatively. Putin is siding with China, Russia.
Okay, the point I'm making now, you hear it now, that's on Fox. You know, it took a while for Fox to come around to playing clips and having interviews where they're starting to admit that Russia does not want to end that war. Now, obviously, that's completely different than what Trump said during the campaign.
Very boldly, you could end this Ukrainian-Russia war in 24 hours.
Yeah.
How?
So I know Zelensky very well because he was very honorable with the fake phone call, impeachment hoax #1. They said I made a phone call to him and I was very threatening. I wasn't at all. I was actually very nice. I was congratulating him on a victory. But when they asked him, they said, were you threatened? He didn't even know what they were talking about. He was very honorable. He could have done grandstand and said, I felt threatened. He didn't do that. And as you know, I get along very well with Putin. I would tell Putin,
Listen to this. He said he gets along very well with Putin, and he would tell Putin,
to settle. I would tell Zelensky, you gotta settle. I would tell one, you're gonna load up with money. I'd tell the other, you're not gonna get any money. I would get a settlement in 24 hours. Now, it should have never happened. You have thousands.
Now, I'm going to ask the obvious question. Based on what you've seen so far, Trump's been president now 4 solid months. What made him say that? What made him actually say that he knew Putin well and he could get a ceasefire in 24 hours and he's going to make all these demands? Was it based solely on nothing? What made him suggest that he could end that war in 24 hours and he would make all these threats to Zelensky and make all these threats to Putin, and that he knows both of these people? He knows Putin well, he knows Zelensky well. What made him say that? Now, in the comments, Yo-Yo says, stop hating. I'm asking a question. This isn't hating. This is a question. What made him suggest that he can end that war in 24 hours? You've seen 4 months of Trump now. What do you believe he was basing his belief that he can end the war in 24 hours on? Because obviously it's still going on. And by the way, Trump talked about most of these wars, including the one in Israel, would not even have took place if he was elected to office, which I want to give you a couple more clips and we'll start taking callers, but tap the screen, by the way, get the likes on up to about 10,000. Tap the screen as always, show the program some love. I want you to hear, because that's not the only conflict going on.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The UN is warning 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in the next 48 hours without immediate aid. 100 aid trucks have been approved for entry into Gaza today, far short of the number needed, but a big jump after fewer than 10 trucks were permitted to enter Gaza on Monday. The slow trickle of aid was the first food allowed into Gaza since Israel imposed a total blockade 11 weeks ago.
Now,
the UN official called the limited supply.
When she says a total blockade, in other words, Israel was starving them. We're not talking about weapons. We're talking about a total blockade of food coming in. Now, you heard her say, I believe she said 14,000 babies could die in the next 24 hours, if I'm correct. 48 hours. So in a day or two. Because they're literally eating nothing. I mean, they're literally starving them to death over there. Now, this was another war that Trump said he could readily end.
The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's escalating its war on Gaza, killing hundreds of Palestinians over the weekend, including at least 5 journalists. On Sunday, Israel killed at least 160 Palestinians, including 36 people in the Al-Mawasi area, where Israeli warplanes bombed a tent camp housing displaced people. Multiple hospitals have also come under attack. Earlier today, Israel ordered the forced evacuation of Khan Yunis, Gaza's second largest city. On Sunday, Israel announced the start of what it called a new extensive ground operation in Gaza.
Now, they're still bombing, of course. You hear her talking about this. I want to start taking calls. Well, why don't I ask you guys right off the bat before I take my first caller? And by way of yes or no in the comments, because this is based on a comment I'm receiving right now. Papa Onaya Shelley says, I don't give a fuck about none of that. How many of you folks, I'm talking to my beloved Americans here, right and left, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, how many of you have come to the point where when you hear that 14,000 babies could die in the next 48 hours and things like that, your response is, as Papa Onaya Shelley said, America first, I don't care. By way of yes or no, do you agree with my commenter that you don't care about any of this shit that's happening overseas? Babies dying, people starving to death. It just is something you do not care about at all. You are more focused on America first and whether you can afford your next car for a cheaper interest rate. How many of you folks, yes or no, do you agree with if you agree, put yes in the comments. If you disagree, obviously say no. But how many of you folks are in that position where you just don't care? As long as I can afford eggs and groceries, I do not care how many babies are dying in that damn country with the use of our weapons, by the way. So this is not something where we can say, look, it's awful, but we ain't got nothing to do with it. No, all of this stuff that they're using to kill these folks would has made in the USA written on the side of it. So this isn't one of those deals where we can say, well, war and bullshit happens all over the world. No, we're actually participating in this one. Israel couldn't do this without America. So we're active participants in this. So regardless if we care about it or not, this is on our hands. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to disagree with it. But as an American citizen, our country is funding basically we're putting bullets in the gun for Israel to do whatever they got to do. They're getting all the equipment from us. So you can't say that we have nothing to do with this, because without us, it doesn't happen. So a lot of folks, though, I'm surprised. Most of the folks, at least on my YouTube audience tends to be more MAGA oriented, but I'm surprised a lot of you folks do not agree with my my viewer there. So some of you folks do care, but the idea, I'll take a caller. But to hear something like that.
Die in Gaza. In the next report, I'm Amy Goodman. The UN is warning 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in the next 48 hours without.
How could you hear that and not care at all? How could you hear something like that and not care is what I'm asking? Because when they asked Trump about the Ukraine-Russia war, he said, I just want it to end. He stated, I just want the bloodshed to end. He was questioned on it.
I want to save lives.
To win this war.
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more.
Now, briefly, he's talking about the Ukraine-Russian war right now, but he's making it sound like he cares about humanity. He doesn't. He was asked, "Do you want the Ukrainians to win the war?" And his response is, "I just want it to end. People are dying." But does he seem to care about the humanity in the Israel-Palestinian war? Because we're actually funding that one. So I want to get your opinion on all of this, because we become so focused on our own acquisitions, how comfortable we're living. I mean, we are one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Are we so focused on the quality of our life that we don't give a damn about humanity, or if it's completely extinguished in other parts of the world? So I want to talk about that. So look at in the comments, why would anybody be surprised he's a politician, says Evan. Well, I was told he's not a typical politician. That Trump, that's the reason we voted him in there, is because he was going to drain the swamp and not act like that. He's supposed to be different. Unless I got something wrong, we'll go straight to the pods. Wow. We'll go to, I don't even know what the pronunciation of the name is there, but good evening, welcome to the program. How do I pronounce the name there?
CT. Good afternoon, Mr. Handsome. How you doing, sir? sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Now, I'm
Yeah,
stuck. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Well, I heard you loud and clear. You went out. He was president once.
All right.
Okay, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. What brought you up?
I mean,
CT, you got audio problems. I'm gonna have to drop you. Apparently something's wrong. You're speaking in spots, and I'll have to drop it and try it again. Don't know what's going on audio wise with him, but good you got out of the life you were in. Those people were weird. Yeah, Ishmael. Yeah, that was. Some of you folks will see me on other live streams, and it's usually in MAGA. I always, when I'm talking to other folks and I'm not doing my own thing, I'm in MAGA-oriented lives. And somebody saw me in one earlier today, where talking to some black MAGA. But it was interesting. I'll just say that. But continuing on, Trump is a Dixiecrat, segregationist, Mr. DEI. You're saying that Trump. You're saying that Trump wants America segregated? Is that what you're saying? Clear that up for me. Let me try going back to the box again. Make sure it's not my live stream that's down. RDL, good evening. Welcome to the program, RDL. Are you there?
yeah, I'm here. How
Okay.
you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. Good to have you back on. So,
Yeah, it's been a long time.
yeah, well, I'm glad to have you back. Now, there's a lot of folks that are being critical of Trump, and we're asking the question straight out. Do you believe America, at least from folks on the left and some independents, perhaps are being too hard on President Trump, that maybe he's trying, he's doing his best? There's a hell of a lot of liberals pushing back, but do you believe that maybe America's being too hard on the guy?
No. Trump don't give a shit, man. He don't care.
I mean, I know he doesn't care, but I mean, he would prefer to be able to govern smoothly. And he's being constantly criticized and attacked, so to speak, by the media and people on the left. Do you think that they are going overboard with it?
No, I think he kind of brought all that on himself, didn't he? When he went campaigning, he said, "Oh, I could end that war in one day, and it would never happen if I was president, and there would be no wars with us, but they're bombing the hell out of the Houthis. That's kind of like a war."
Yeah.
You remember me, man. I said I didn't like Trump from 2015. I listened to the guy. I didn't know anything about him. I listened to him on TV for like 10 minutes, and I said, "This guy's he's an idiot." So,
What made you not? I mean, did you think that Biden was running a successful presidency?
No, I didn't. Even it was hard for me, man, because it was Clinton and Trump, and I didn't like either of those. And then it became Biden and Trump, and I didn't like either of those. And then I think Kamala probably would have been a good president. I really think with getting surrounded with some good people, she would have done a great job, I think. Probably.
So you think out of Hillary Clinton, President Trump, and Joe Biden, you think Kamala Harris would have been probably the most effective out of all of them?
Oh, yeah. I think she
Wow.
was the smartest out of all of them.
Wow.
Now, maybe Clinton might have been smart in some ways, but Clinton's money hungry too, I think. I don't know. Trump don't need money, but he wants money. He wants more and more and more.
Yeah.
All this crap that he's doing with this jet and all the deals he's making with Qatar and Saudi Arabia and all that stuff. It's all about money, man. He don't care about America first shit. He don't care about none of that.
You almost make it sound like you believe he's selling America out to put more money in his pocket.
Well, yeah, I think he's just doing whatever he has to do to put more money in his pocket. I think they're all, look at J.D. Vance, man. That guy, he's been in politics for 2 years. All of a sudden, he's vice president. Shit.
Well, but in defense of Trump and in defense of J.D. Vance, Obama had only been in politics for 2 years as well. He was a senator for 2 years, and he went right for the presidency and won.
Well, he was, what was he in Chicago?
A community organizer.
Yeah, well, that's probably better than Vance. Vance was just out. He was a tech guy from California, right?
But how do you respond? Now Johnny 11 in the comments says, "Listen, JD Vance is like a young Obama. He put in the work, and he's on his way up, just like Obama was."
No, man. J.D. Vance, look what he said about Trump in 2015, 16, all the stuff he said.
Said he's very.
He's kissing his ass now because look where he's at. He kissed his ass enough to get right where he is today.
Yeah,
Trump, you know, the narcissism in Trump is praise me, you know, give me all your glory. I'm the man. Then you'll get anything he can give you. But if you don't, look what he's doing. You say one thing against him, he's coming after you. You know,
he doesn't like. Okay, I'll give it to you. He doesn't like criticism. I believe they voted down his big, beautiful bill, and he's going after the Republican Congress people suggesting they need to be voted out, and they're idiots.
He was on the floor today, cussing, dropping the F-bomb and all kinds of stuff at them guys, you know?
Did he?
That's not going to go good.
I didn't hear it. He dropped the F-bomb.
Oh, he was all over, out in the hallways, dropping F-bombs, screaming, yelling at them, and because they didn't do what he wanted, you know?
What about the notion that, listen, we like him even though he's dropping the F-bomb and all that, that's like a typical New Yorker. He shoots straight from the hip. We like the fact that he doesn't try to be polished like some professional politician.
That's all BS, man. That's all BS. You know, if that man talked to me the way he talks to people on a train, I'd slap the shit out of him, and any New Yorker would too. You know, there ain't no man gonna stand and let somebody scream and cuss at him like that. What the hell? But here's what's going on with the Republican Party. They're all scared to death of him. They're going to lose their gravy job. You know, their free health care, their free gas, their free food. And then Johnson the other day saying they need a raise. Well, come on, man. No. They all get in, and then he's talking about, well, as long as we could do inside trading, you know, maybe we wouldn't need a raise. They're all becoming millionaires, man.
Well, but I gotta take the other side of this and say that you can't complain about insider trader now, you know, insider trading right now when we were letting Nancy Pelosi get away with it. She made a killing doing that.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Nancy Pelosi, probably Biden too. He was probably doing. There's probably lots of them we don't even know their names that are doing it. You know, that Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia.
Yeah. She
was worth $700,000. 3 or 4 years ago when she came into politics. Probably wasn't even worth that, but that's what they're saying because her husband owned a construction company or something. But now she's worth $22 million or something like that.
Damn.
In what, 5 years?
Damn.
4 or 5 years?
Wow. The problem is though, like the reason I threw Nancy Pelosi in there is the problem is if the Democrats do well in the midterms and get a nice sizable majority, they can't really do anything about that because they're just as guilty with it. So it's not like they can impeach Trump or go after Marjorie Taylor Greene because there's enough dirt on the Democrats in that same area that all they can do is say, look, we'll pass a law so it can't keep happening. But both sides have been knee deep in that.
They don't want to go after him. They're not going to go after him. No, they're never going to stop that. On either side, they don't want to stop it. That's all just a bunch of shit. They all know they want to get rich. They go in there for money, man. They don't, you know.
Well, but then I have to ask this question. Folks always say we need term limits. They don't need to be paid as much. They need to have the same health care as Americans do. They don't need golden parachutes and all of that. But I have to ask, would you be able to find good people, intelligent folks, to leave the private sector and become a member of the representatives or become a senator if you pay them like shit? Most of these people could make a fortune in the private sector. Why would they want to be a congressman or woman, deal with all of the vitriol and end up like, what was the woman named Gabbard or whatever that ended up getting shot? Who wants to go do all of that if they're not getting paid real money?
Well, look, I think they should get what they get paid now. That's no problem. I don't have that problems with that. You know, they can make $175,000 a year. That's fine. But I do believe there needs to be like 8 years and you're out. You know, and you don't get lifetime insurance and all that kind of stuff afterwards. You get it while you're in there.
I don't know. I think the problem is, I think the problem is that you still would probably end up getting shitty people. Even take someone like Jasmine Crockett, which a lot of folks on the right despise her. she was worth more money as a lawyer out in the private sector. I mean, coming into Congress for a lot of these people is a downgrade. Maybe not for Marjorie Taylor Greene, but for a lot of these folks, coming into Congress is a downgrade. If you all of a sudden start placing term limits and you're not giving them a great salary and shit like that, I don't think you would be able to get the best and brightest people.
Well, like I said, I don't have a problem with the salary. I think they should make decent money while they're there, you know, because they live in their families for long periods of time, stuff like that. But I'm talking about like after, you know, most of them go into become lobbyists after they're political, and then they just make tons of money doing that too.
I say they're making a little bit less than $200K. I say up that to about $500K and cut off all the corruption you're talking about, like inside the trade. When you start talking about around about $500,000 apiece, because they're making a lot more than that doing corruption. But if you take them down to $500K on the taxpayers, I think that would still open the door up to getting some very intelligent folks in there, and they would likely be less corrupt.
Well, you know, it's hard to find good people anywhere today. Everybody's greedy and wants money and to care about themselves. The world ain't like it used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago, you know?
We like capitalism.
I don't know, you know, like, look, you got AOC. She was a bartender, but when she become a senator or whatever she is, you got that Bobart girl from Bimbo Bobart or whatever the hell she is. She didn't even have a high school education. She just, you know, how do these people? Marjorie Taylor Greene. You think if she wasn't up in Georgia? I live in Georgia. She's up in northern Georgia. It's solid red, man. If she come to a place that was purple in Georgia, wherever, she wouldn't have a chance.
No. Well, the thing about it is, if you are good enough at, you know, talking shit about the other side in our current divisive environment, that's probably worth more weight than a good education. If you're really good at talking shit about the libs, or if you're in a blue area and you're really good like Jasmine Crockett is about talking shit about the folks on the right, that's probably better than having a degree from Princeton right now in terms of getting you votes. People want that.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, they want that the division, man. That's all it is. You know, and the 2025 thing with J.D. Vance was involved with that from way back with that freaking.
You talking about Project 20? You talking about Project 2025?
Yeah.
But you know, Trump vehemently denies that that's in play. He's saying that they're not trying to do that.
He said he didn't sleep with Stormy Daniels either, but he did. So, you know. Yeah. So, sorry.
But believe it or not, I get MAGA on the program all the time that say that that's probably true, that Stormy Daniels and him never had anything to do with each other. A lot of MAGA believe that.
Yeah, well, he can't, you know, them people drink the Kool-Aid, man. They can't help it. I work with a guy, man, I was like, where's the line? Where's the line for this guy? You know, and this guy that I work with, he's supposedly a religious guy and all this, goes to church and everything. And he loves Trump. And I was like, how can you vote for somebody with that moral background that this guy has? His integrity, his morals, his character, all of it, man, is just so shady.
Well, shit, RDO, I just asked the folks, you know, in regards to babies dying in Gaza, if in this country we would tend to be more favorable to making sure that I can purchase a car with a cheaper interest rate than focusing on babies dying. We don't care about morals in this country. We care about making more money and being able to buy more shit. That's how you can vote for him. I mean, that's how this country is right now.
Well, yeah, that's what I just said. It ain't like it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. You know, 40 years ago, people wouldn't have been talking that way. You know,
I don't know. The way they were treating people like me 40 years ago, I don't know if they had morals back then either.
Well, shit, you guys don't have a chance. I'm sorry, but
what are you getting at?
Well, I mean, you've been treated bad your whole life, like you said. Maybe not bad, but not as good as me, you know, because I'm white, you know. And I don't know if that's ever going to change in America, man. This place is just screwed up.
But I'm hearing from the Trump supporters that if you do want a president that's going to look out for blacks and minorities, Trump is the guy. I mean, Trump is stating he did more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, He said he didn't sleep at Stormy Daniels.
That's a good comeback for anything, huh? I'll leave it at that.
You know, I mean, the guy lies all the time, man. He's been a liar his whole life, I guess, from what I understand. I don't know, man. I think we need somebody in this country that's going to be, that just is, I don't know. You know, I hear, fuck, man.
You make it sound, you're making it sound hopeless, man. You're scaring the shit out of me. You're making it sound like it's hopeless.
Hey, man, I really do feel hopeless. The Democrats right now are scaring the hell out of me. I don't think they have a plan at all. They don't know what's going on, man. They don't know what to do, because they look, you got Donald Trump right now. You got Donald Trump Jr. You got Eric Trump. You got
Vance.
Barron Trump in another few years. J.D. Vance.
Am I hearing a dynasty?
Oh God, yeah, hell yeah. Why not?
Well, let me say this. This might make you feel a little bit.
Kennedy's had a dynasty, right?
You said what?
Kennedy's had a dynasty.
Yeah, but let me say this. This may make you feel a little bit better. I don't personally believe if J.D. Vance was president, or maybe some of the other Trumps. Don Jr., yes, but some of them other ones. I don't think the level of cruelty that the Democrats are concerned with would be as bad. I'm not saying there may not, because if you get a Republican in there, as a Democrat, there's gonna be things you don't like. But I don't think, no due process. I don't think J.D. Vance was gonna go down that road. I mean, there's a lot of Trump that the left dislikes, that I think that's the reason why out of all of those candidates, from Chris Christie to Nikki Haley to Ron DeSantis, they went with Trump because he's a special type of politician. I don't think Ron DeSantis, for instance, would be talking about no due process and sending people to Libya. So just to ease your fears a little bit on the dynasty, I don't think the folks who succeed Trump will be as extreme, so to speak, as Trump. And also the name calling and the insults and stuff like that too. I don't think you would have gotten as much of that.
I think Donald Trump right now is on a revenge tour.
I don't think you would have got that.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. You don't know what people are like.
Yeah.
That Barron guy, his son Barron, he may end up being the worst. Ivanka said he's just like his dad. That's what I've heard. Or Melania, says.
Yeah, but if he was like his dad, you would hear him in speeches and stuff saying that kind of shit, and you just don't hear him. I mean, he's not taking the mic. That's what I'm saying. If you get a successor, someone that succeeds Trump, they may be okay with a lot of Trump's policies, but the name calling, the insults, the stuff that really divides the country, I think Trump does that better than anybody that will follow him. And I don't think that you're talking about Kool-Aid drinkers and all these folks that allege there's this cult mentality and all. I don't know if that would exist for some of those other people.
So you think that once Trump's gone, Donald Trump's gone, it's just going to go back to normal or be cool again, or what?
I didn't say normal, but I do believe that Trump is a unique politician. I think that the way, like the middle of Fifth Avenue type conversation, I don't think that exists for anybody else that would follow Trump.
That's because he's a narcissistic psychopath, man.
Well, it works. It works.
I don't think Tom Jr.'s far behind him. I don't think he's too far behind him, man. Hey, look what he just said about Biden yesterday when it come out. He's kind of happy Biden's got cancer. I've heard a lot of that in the last couple of days.
Damn, did he really say that?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. A lot of them are saying, and look at the man on TikTok. Some of these people, they're saying, I hope he suffers for days and days.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I mean, if something happened to Trump, there would be people on TikTok celebrating that as well. It's a difference between, now if you're saying Don Jr. is saying it, that's different than some random dude on TikTok. Because if Trump, I've said before that if for some reason something was to happen to Trump, whether it was violence or he just simply passed away of natural causes or something, you would probably have at least 10 to 15% of Americans in the street yelling USA, celebrating like when bin Laden got taken out. So yeah, so you can't complain too much when some folks don't like Biden. I mean, because it would be worse if Trump had been diagnosed with a serious form of cancer, there would be people throwing parties.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, and it's sad. It's sad. I don't want to see nobody die for no reason. I don't know, man. I just think Trump's a showman, and I like I told you before, we have 4 years. If he wins, remember that we talked before the election, and I told you, I said if he does win, we'll give him 4 years and see what he does. Maybe he will do good. If you recall, I did say that, and I said, and it's only 4 years. We'll let the guy get 4 years, and we'll be done with him.
Well, so far it's only been 4 months, so we got to see what's going on. I got to move it on RDL, but 4 months, got to get a guy a chance.
Well, he crashed my 401. So,
Did you see? I mean, a lot of folks said that the economy is the stock market has bounced back for him, though. So you're saying you're still hurting?
No, it did. Some of it came back, not all of it, but yeah, it did.
All right.
And the market's that way, no matter what. You gotta. It's always like that. It's volatile all the time. So.
Well, give it time. You may actually grow to like this Trump guy. I got to move it on RDL.
I've always told everybody, man, if he does what he says he's going to do, I'll be the first guy to say I was wrong about him.
Fair enough. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too. Looking in the comments. By the way, that's what I said. I think America is. I think if he strengthened people's 401k stocks, investments, just the economy overall, I really believe in America. As long as you're putting money on people's tables or in their pocket, your food on their table is what I'm trying to say, and you're putting money in their bank accounts, I think we'll overlook any damn thing. I've often made the joke that you could bring slavery back if the economy is good enough. I mean, I just really believe it. Like, we're talking about the fact that you could have thousands of babies passing away in Gaza over the next 48 hours, and that's being done with our weapons. But hey, the economy is good, so I'm happy. I mean, as long as people are making money, they don't give a damn what's happening. We are that money oriented in this country. We just give me money and I don't give a fuck what else. You can do whatever you want. You want to bang a porn star while your wife is, I mean, all that stuff don't matter. If you're putting money in my pocket, I'll overlook anything. Looking in the comments, Proby says, is that how you feel? No, I don't. No, I don't feel that way. I do believe we should be focused on more than just making money. I mean, but I don't make a lot of money, so the credibility of me saying it is meaningless. It'd be different if it was somebody like, what was it, Warren Jeffs or somebody like that, or Warren Buffett is who I'm thinking about. If Warren Buffett is saying that, I pay more, I pay less in taxes than my secretary, it means something from him. But an average working guy like myself, it doesn't mean shit. They're going to tell you it's easy to talk about spending somebody else's money. So it doesn't mean as much. But no, even if I was swimming in dough like that, I do believe in shit like universal health care and things like that, even if it meant taxing me more. But a lot of people in the country disagree. Tap the screen. We should be at about 20,000. Get your boy up to at least 15 so we can take the next caller. Tap the screen, get the likes up. And that is the saddest thing imaginable. So I don't know what you were referring to. The money is the almighty in America. That is true. That is absolutely true. Great chat, Hanson Liberal. Thanks for being non-biased. I don't hear that very often. Thank you, Marion. Appreciate Marion is saying thank you for being non-biased. But I'll tell you, all of my liberals hate when I give Trump credit, and all of my MAGA hate when I criticize Trump. So to get someone who says you're being unbiased, thank you. We strive to be that way. I'm not going to deny that I do lean left somewhat politically, but I'm not so far to the left that I don't see reason to criticize the left, and not so far to the left that I don't see reasons to give Trump credit when I think credit is due. But like I said, both sides in their perspective parties don't want to hear anything other than how they feel. So what else can you do? You don't make a lot of money. I'm $50,000 a year, and I'm doing wonderful. That ain't a lot of money in America, Poby. $50,000 a year is not a lot of money in America. And it can be not even sustainable depending on where you live. You live in San Francisco, you're homeless. You live in San Francisco making $50,000 a year, you'd be lucky to rent a room somewhere, or maybe the space over somebody's garage. Depends on where you live at. And also, I agree with what you say, depends on how you use it. But 50 grand a year, if you're living in California somewhere, I would say get yourself like a van or some shit and outfit it out. Cause you're not really purchasing, or you live in Manhattan or somewhere in New York, 50 grand ain't shit. My electric bill is almost 50,000 a year. What the fuck are you running? Agent Smith, you said your electric bill? No. Where in America would you live with a $50,000 electric bill? So what is that, about a little bit over 4,000 a month? Nah, you ain't. If you're paying 4 G's a month for electricity, you need to invest in solar. Get yourself some batteries. I mean, you can do way better than that. That makes no sense. Yeah, that would be a business. I agree with you, William Perry. That would be a business. But if you have a dwelling, a home, and you're paying that kind of money, there's enough alternative energy out there that you can beat that. That doesn't make sense. Hello today from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I'm familiar with that. Been up there and on beyond Oshkosh and Appleton and all of that. Very good just to see you on today. I guess, what is modern day government? Anything goes in the Senate and Congress. I don't think so. I think if you, by the way, tap the screen, give me up to 15,000. I want to take the next, we'll take the next caller at 15,000. So tap the screen, get the likes up. I don't think anything goes in the Senate and Congress right now. Because if you're not doing, if you're a Republican senator or Republican Congress and you're going against Trump, your days as a senator or congressman are numbered. I mean, it's as simple as that. If Trump wants anyone that's serving in the Senate, anyone that's serving in Congress gone, he has I'm going to say at least an 80% chance if Trump starts actively campaigning against you, about an 80% chance you're going to lose the next election if you're a Republican senator or Congress. His sway is that strong. Now, there have been some folks that have survived. Which is why I said about an 80% chance. Governor Kemp in Georgia being one of them. Because he tried to start backing Stacey Abrams. He hated Governor Kemp so much for not following him on the stolen election shit. But yeah, if Trump starts campaigning against you, your days as a Republican senator or a Republican congressman are numbered. I mean, like right now, they're voting against his big, beautiful bill, and he's going off on the 5 or 6 congressmen that did that. And it won't be long. Likely it will not be long before you start seeing those Republican congressmen being attacked on X, on Truth Social, on Fox News, saying, and the folks are going to be saying the same stuff that Trump is saying. If Trump makes up a nickname for one of them, the folks on those networks and on those media outlets are going to be echoing that same nickname. If he calls you bird brain, MAGA's going to call you bird brain. If he calls you Ron DeSanctimonious, MAGA's going to call you. I mean, so yeah, about an 80% chance if he starts campaigning against one of them, that they're in a year and a half or whatever the midterms are, their careers are going to be in danger. Looking at the comments, oh, poor Dale, does the picture hurt your retinas? We're talking about promises made, promises kept. And I'm asking the question before we take the next caller. We're almost at 15,000. We're asking the question because one of the things Trump did promise is to end wars in 24 hours. And I'm asking this, why? Why did he make that promise? What was it based on? Because we can clearly see now that we're getting to the point where they're almost
affect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't
know
like me as much as they like weak people. But
hang on a second.
You take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're in.
Jesus Christ! It's getting to the point now where Trump is almost talking about giving up on stopping the Ukraine-Russian war. 24 hours. What went wrong? Now, he claimed that he knew Putin very well and all of that. What went wrong? Or if anything went wrong at all, was he lying? Was he fibbing? Was he misleading us when he suggested that he knew Zelensky and he knew Putin very well, and if you elected him, he would easily end the war? I mean, he did come out and say he knew both of them.
You could end this Ukrainian-Russia war in 24 hours.
Yeah.
How?
So I know Zelensky very well because he was very honorable with the fake phone call, impeachment hoax #1. They said I made a phone call to him, and I was very threatening. I wasn't at all. I was actually very nice. I was congratulating him on a victory. But when they asked him, they said, were you threatened? He didn't even know what they were talking about. He was very honorable. He could have done grandstand and said, I felt threatened. I felt threatened.
Oddly enough, now I'll go to the caller now. Oddly enough, though, this obviously didn't age very well with him saying he knows both Putin and Zelensky very well, because now that he's become president, he's essentially gotten into arguments with both sides. We've seen him on video publicly arguing with Zelensky, telling him he was flirting with World War III and he didn't have the cards. And now in recent time, he is starting to heavily criticize Vladimir Putin as well. By the way, after all of his Middle Eastern trips, guess who he is also starting to criticize to some degree? Benjamin Netanyahu. Now that Trump has been in so well with so many folks in the Middle East, from Saudi Arabia to Qatar and all of these Middle Eastern leaders, and he's talking about getting free jets and shit like that, they're stepping up, and it sounds like, and I'm speculating here. I'm going to step out on the ledge and admit I'm speculating here, but from what I'm hearing, with him starting to be critical of Benjamin Netanyahu, those Middle Eastern leaders are starting to convince, like, you want jets and you want to be in with us and shit like that. You need to fix this guy. Talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. You need to get your boy under control, because he's not only destroying Gaza, he's striking Iran, he's striking Yemen, he's striking Syria. I mean, he's threatening the whole fucking region. Get your boy under control. You want this jet? You want to hang around us and sling a little bit of oil? Get your boy under control. It's starting to sound that way, because Trump is criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu now. That's different. That's different. You don't normally see that. Jeremy, good evening. Welcome to the program. Get your boy under control. Holla at your boy. Jeremy, are you seeing it that way?
No, not at all.
Not at all, huh? So you haven't heard Trump being critical of Benjamin Netanyahu?
No, I've heard him being critical, but I just don't say it the way you do.
You don't, right after going to the Middle East and meeting with all these countries and talking about how they love you so much they want to give you a free jet and shit, you come home and all of a sudden, like, the Middle Eastern's biggest enemy, being Israel, being Benjamin Netanyahu, you decide to come home and you don't see the light. You don't see any type of coincidence to that at all.
I don't know. Do you see it? Well, you know what? I'm not even going to go down the route that I was about to go down. I was about to call your ass out for you ignoring certain coincidences. But let's stick on. But I'll just go with what you just said. So let's talk about that. After getting the free jet and all that, at first off, I can see the controversy with the free jet. Should he probably not set the precedence by getting the free jet in the first place? Probably not.
Let me stop you. I'll let you continue. I just want to say something real quick. Cause I'm not going to talk about it too much on this live, but I was already doing some homework on it. There apparently is a different story on that jet. Meaning, the story I'm starting to hear, the narrative is that they didn't offer that jet to Trump. Trump wanted something to replace Air Force One sooner than the 2027 replacement date. And Boeing told him about that jet, and he reached out to Qatar, and that's what's starting to come out. Right now, it's in the early stages, but it's starting to sound like they didn't originally offer us that for goodwill. Trump knew it existed because he wanted something more luxurious to fly in before, because otherwise they're not going to be finished with this new jet until his term is over with. He wanted something now. So it's starting to sound like he reached out to Qatar. They didn't reach out to him, but keep going.
Perfectly fine. Yeah. And anyway, the real issue with him accepting a jet from Qatar is not a security issue. Okay, we know that the Secret Service and the FBI and the CIA are going to comb that thing with a fine-tooth comb.
Hold on. Wait. You saying we know this jet is not going to be a security issue because we know the Secret Service will comb over it with a fine-tooth comb. He got shot in the ear by a guy that was 20. The Secret Service ain't that dependable. Keep going.
Yeah, but from what we can tell from that guy's history, he didn't have a digital history. He was a complete nobody. He kind of did it out of the blue. It's hard to really have someone on your radar who doesn't have a history like that. Right?
They couldn't comb. Wait. They couldn't comb the roof of a building that was literally in eyesight of the president. But you think they're going to be able to clean a 747 from everything that could be as small as an air tag or a microchip? But this dude laying on the roof with a rifle, they just overlooked that. And you think they're that good?
If I'm not mistaken, there's a new director of Secret Service. If I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
because the person who originally was there was fired for that mess up.
All right.
And which I don't blame him. You know.
But the director that they fired for that mishap, that ain't the only person that slipped up there that day. The one director, all of those Secret Service members should be scanning and looking around the perimeter. That one director ain't the only one that gets the blame. I mean, this dude is laying up there with a rifle. Ain't none of y'all been on top of this roof to make sure it's secure. It's perfect line of sight for it. I mean, you could have probably shot him with a pistol if you were accurate enough from that range. Like, the director does deserve to be the one that, she's at the top, so she had to pay the price, but she ain't the only one that failed Trump that day.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, it's been real lockdown hard now. That's happened. Okay, that one mess up is a mess up that will absolutely change the actual direction of how the Secret Service conducts themselves.
So you would trust that if you were President Jeremy and you could fly around an Air Force One, which has been proven to be safe, but you wanted a luxurious upgrade so bad, you would trust your life and your family in that thing?
Yes. But here's the thing: there is still an issue with accepting it. It's not the issue of the safety; it's the issue of opening up a precedent and of setting a precedent for the president. I know. It's a little hard to pronounce that. It's a tongue twister.
Okay.
But it sets a precedent of accepting certain gifts from other countries that go directly to our government. We like having our own stuff because there's no strings attached. You know what I mean? That's why when we go overseas, we actually bring our stuff over there. You know that, right, about Air Force One?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, but I don't know. You're buying an aircraft. You're taking an aircraft from. A 747 is huge, Jeremy. When you think about the little things you can put in a 747, like ways to bug it and things like that, I trust the ability of the Secret Service, but that's a huge task. I mean, you got to check everything from the wiring to the paint. Because you can you can take a small piece of wiring and put primer cord in it. I mean, it's just so many places you could hide some shit on the 747 that even with the Secret Service, I don't feel confident that something could not get through.
I know. I'm saying, and the likelihood though is very, 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 very insignificantly low. It's the real problem is setting the precedence of accepting gifts from foreign countries that can influence our president and make bad we don't want to accept things that could be considered bribes, and that's why he should deny it. That's why he should say no. So that's the real issue. So I think he should say no to getting that 747. I just think it should be for other reasons, not security reasons.
Okay, I want to correct something. Somebody in the audience pushed back, and I want to give them their just due. And because I talked about with Trump with Trump's assassin on the roof, it was close enough that a pistol, even with a pistol, you could do it. In the comments, Slay says, "See, when you say you can hit him with a pistol from that range, takes away from the credibility you might have because it's such a ridiculous and obviously wrong statement." I actually looked it up while you were talking, Jeremy. 400 to 450 feet. So I will admit I stand corrected. That would be a hell of a pistol shot. I mean, that's over the length of a football field. So I'll give you that on YouTube horizontal. You are right. That would be a bit of a feat. 400 to 450 feet with a pistol. So I'll give you that. That is correct. But you are right. That would be almost impossible to do without some significant training. But I do still stand by the notion that if they let this guy get up there and they didn't check that roof, I don't know if I'm with you, Jeremy, in believing that the Secret Service would be so good at giving an overhaul to a huge 747 with just nooks and crannies everywhere. Jeremy, you're on mute.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, I said you were on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. No, I was giving credit. I was giving credibility to a viewer who said that you can't hit the guy with a pistol from 400 to 450 feet. That is a long, long way away. But I'm just simply saying the fact that he was able to get up there with a long rifle shows that the secret. Well, to me, it goes against what you're saying about your solid trust in the Secret Service.
Yeah, but I'm still saying like it's not a very likelihood that anything's going to get past that. And again, I still think he should say no. I think it's just for different reasons. He shouldn't set the precedence that the president of the United States accepts gifts from foreign nations that go directly to our governments.
Yeah. Not only does he set that precedent, but I've been arguing back and forth with MAGA on this because MAGA don't want to admit that that jet is going to him. It's not like that he's taking that and then all of a sudden it falls in the hands of either the previous president or it goes back to, maybe the State Department. I mean, it's going from him as president to either his library or his personal use vehicle. It's staying it's staying as property of Trump, though. Now, I'm not a fan of taking it, period. But if he was to take it and say, after we're done, we'll auction it off to the highest bidder or something like that, and the money will go to cancer research or something, or veterans or something like that, it would soften the blow to a little bit. But you're talking about putting it in your library and all this other bullshit. The American people, I don't see the benefit.
Neither do I. And again, I just think this is a bad idea, but for different reasons. And so, if it's not a security issue. Now, you usually have like 3 topics. So what were the other 2 topics that you have?
Well, no, we're talking about the fact that he said he could end the war in 24 hours, and that just doesn't seem to be happening. In fact, it's getting worse. And I'm trying to ask the question of what made him say that to begin with? What made him think he could do that?
Well, honestly, at first I believed him. Now I kind of don't. But I think that's because he kind of overestimated himself. I think he genuinely believed he could do that. You see,
I agree. But based on what, though? What, I mean, because he said he knows Putin very well. He knows Zelensky very well. And both of them, once he got in office, they're both pushing back against him. He doesn't even sound like he knows him very well.
Well, one thing we do know is nobody wants war with the United States. Nobody does. We are absolutely the world's superpower when it comes to military might. Now, Russia is not a paper tiger, but they are nowhere near us. Even China doesn't want us because even with their extensive amount of people, they don't have the military experience and the generals that we do. They don't have the hard.
Yeah, but Jeremy, that just because they don't want war with America doesn't mean they're going to back down. I mean, Saddam Hussein, I'm certain Saddam Hussein did not want war with America, but he chose not to back down. I mean, Putin has to look strong to his people. He's not going to back down just because Trump is in there saying. I mean, these folks know that all they got to do is survive 3 years and Trump is gone anyway.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is what I think he was thinking, and what I think I overestimated when I heard him say that. I think I overestimated his abilities.
Based on what made you believe he could do that shit?
Well, we've seen in the past people like Reagan get into office, and all of a sudden the hostages as that were being taken in Iran were released. We saw that, and we've seen a lot of presidents that were considered really strong in character knock down a lot of regimes, including a lot of communist regimes.
Yeah, but here's
I do think that our leader, our hegemon, the guy in charge, they can absolutely have a huge effect on how.
But here's the problem, Jeremy. Here's the problem, though. You can't become president under an American first orientation where we're going to stop doing things for people overseas. We're not going to do shit for anybody. We're going to focus on America first. but we're going to get people to end wars. You're not throwing money around. You're not giving anybody anything. They're just going to do what you say. I mean, like in Zelensky's case, we're not giving him anything. We're not giving Putin anything. Why would they listen to us? If you want to bring up Reagan or previous leaders, a lot of times, well, we'll give you foreign aid if you do this, or we'll help you out with weapons, or we'll do that. Trump is taking off and saying, we're not going to do shit for people around the world. It's all about America first. Why would you think people are going to listen to you then? You're not helping anybody.
You mean when it comes to like
anything?
Isolation?
I mean, when it comes to anything, if you're going to tell the world, like USAID, for instance, which was helping out poor people and things like that around, you're not going to do anything for anybody around the world. You're only America first. You're imposing tariffs and everything. Why would any country work with you? You're giving them nothing.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Now, the USAID thing, we've had this discussion before. They're not a good organization. They've been more than proven to be used by the CIA to overthrow governments and to have negative influence on foreign governments. So we'll put that to the side for now. So let's talk a little bit more about the tariffs. The tariffs are just an economic tool to make sure that trade is done more fairly in different countries. I understand that it's not perfect, but it's not this big boogeyman that everyone thinks it is. It's just a way of negotiating.
Did you see Liberation Day, Jeremy, when he said the world is taking advantage of us? All of the horrible criticisms he gave the world as a whole. Why would people listen to Trump when he's doing nothing for people and offering them nothing but criticism?
I understand how that would look negative, but what if it's true?
I don't care if it's true. Listen, I got extra pounds on me that I need to lose. But constantly criticizing me and calling me all kinds of names ain't gonna make me agree with you because it's true. I mean, you're just criticizing people over and over again.
I do think that there is a happy median. I do understand what you're saying, but think about the reverse. What was the reverse? It was Biden, and Biden was an absolute sod. A flop.
He had a lot more friends and allies respecting him than Trump.
He didn't command any respect. People liked him, but he was absolutely a pushover.
They don't like Trump.
He was just as bad as Trudeau. He was just as bad as Justin Trudeau when it came to how little the world really respected him and how easily they thought they can manipulate him.
I don't. When you say that. Now, whether or not he could be manipulated or not, I mean, if he could be manipulated that easy, then China would have went into Taiwan, Iran would have continued their antics. They didn't do all that stuff. I mean, Biden went over to Taiwan and stated, any attack by China, we got their back. I mean, he went to Taiwan and said that. I mean, so you can say they didn't respect him, but they weren't doing anything. I mean, even Russia was constantly getting hammered due to Biden going over to the Ukraine and helping them.
Yeah, but he doesn't mean most of it, and not only that,
he doesn't what?
Hold on a minute. Can we be just so for real for now? I mean, just because China didn't invade Taiwan today, or sorry, not today, but rather when Biden was in office, doesn't mean that they weren't going to do it eventually. Maybe it was just not at that time. Maybe it was just not that specific time for them to do that.
You realize how many liberals kicked my ass for saying that under Trump's first term we had no new wars, and here you are. Well, just because they didn't start a war doesn't mean they were going to. They didn't start a war under Biden. He gets credit for that. Just like I gave Trump credit for his first term, wars were not started. Now you're coming back. Well, they might have still wanted to do it. They didn't do it.
Okay, well, fair enough. You know what? I am someone who believes when something's under your term, you get the credit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like just like with Obama and killing bin Laden. I'll give him that. Okay, I'll give him that. But here's the thing. I think that Trump just overestimated his abilities. I don't think it was this thing where Trump is weak and where his show of force is not useful. Okay. Or anything like that. I think what happened is Trump thought that, these people are going to listen to me right away, and they probably are afraid of him because they do know that he's willing to buck. He's like that dog that will bite back.
I do got to move it on for you, but when you say he overestimated his abilities, it goes back to what I just said to you, which is if you're not going to do anything for anybody around the country, why do you think your abilities are going to allow you to get folks to do things favorable to you? You've made it clear that everybody around the world is taking advantage of America. You're saying all this negative shit about everybody, but you believe you have the ability under that environment to get everybody to work with you. Does that even make sense to you?
Listen, there have been changes in our economics and the way things are being done because of Trump's tariffs. We cannot deny that. Look at Vietnam. Perfect example. Vietnam is getting rid of their tariffs on the United States. There are plenty of other countries. Even Trump is renegotiating with China at this point on their tariff deals. These tariffs were not useless. And I know there's going to be a lot of copium in the comment section. I can already see it. They really like huffing that copium. Really helps them get through the day. But Trump has absolutely done some good things. This is undeniable. Okay, he has absolutely done some good things when it comes to our economy. The market is finally bouncing back.
The market, wait. The market is bouncing back because he fucked it up. The market was bouncing back when he became president. If you put the market on the graph, go ahead.
That's why I've always said, when it comes to the stock market, you got to remember that the stock market fluctuates all the time.
No, not like that.
We're doing better than we've ever done before. Everyone is, and actually, recent studies even come out and show that the reason why the middle class is shrinking is because more and more people in the middle class are actually moving into the upper class.
What?
The middle class and into the
what?
Yes, it's true. I am dead serious. I am dead serious about this.
I think you're just dead. He's turned the stock market. If you looked at the market projections from Biden to Trump, the market was going up. If you look at what has happened since Trump has taken office, the market projections look like an EKG layout. I mean, it's all over the damn place. Like somebody got all kinds of arrhythmia problems. I gotta move it on though.
All right, see you around then.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. All right, moving on with the program. Tap the screen. Jeremy is a complete joke, says Focus on. Jeremy's a friend of the program. You might not agree with him. He's MAGA. He's always welcome on the program. By the way, tap the screen. Get the lights up. Dencal, shout out to you. Thank you for the support there, Dencal. Thank you. So why my eggs keep going down since Trump got in? Because they got bird flu under control. I said this earlier. Now you just may be tuning in a little bit later, slaying us. Well, you got me on the other one, but I'll tell you this: I don't believe egg prices are a good way to mark the economy. I said this earlier because the price of eggs was related to bird flu, where they killed off a bunch of chickens to try to squash this flu from passing around, and it made there be a shortage on eggs. More demand, less supply, the price went up. The price of eggs has nothing to do with Biden's economic plans or any of that. And when Trump became president and the price of eggs was still high, he started being honest and telling you it's because of bird flu. So when you talk about the price of eggs coming down, it has nothing to do with Trump's economy. Now, if you want to talk about inflation or price of groceries or, as you say, the price of gas or something like that, that's a more legit conversation. But eggs need to be taken out of it because eggs ain't got nothing to do with the economy. It's more about the bird flu. Tap the screen. Moving on with the show. We'll go straight to Andy. Good evening. Andy, good evening.
Hello.
Hey. So we're talking about promises made, promises kept. Now, I asked earlier on in the show, is it possible that maybe folks on the left and some independents are just being a bit too harsh on Trump? You heard my last caller say that Trump has done some good things and people are just still criticizing the guy.
Yeah, but the things he listed are bullshit. Like you said about the USAID is corrupt. The only thing the USAID, they all have some minor problems with sister organizations, but that's not through the government itself. And if we were to look, yeah, he might have kept all his promises to Elon to get rid of all these investigations because USAID was investigating him with on the partnership with Starlink and management securities over Ukraine. The labor boards were investigating him for safety violations and discriminatory work practices at Tesla. I can go on and on and on.
Yeah, I believe he had like 9 investigations.
Organizations was investigating Elon. So if you say promises kept, getting rid of Elon's problems so he wouldn't go to prison. Maybe.
Yeah, but if you're gonna put it like that, I mean, I have no shortage of MAGA. I got folks that I give them a letter grade like you got back in high school. I got a lot of MAGA that say Trump deserves an A+ right now. What are they seeing that you don't see?
They're delusional and I need to look because you just so aptly put out the stock market wasn't doing this.
Yeah.
The money was, blowing right along, doing well. Trump made this shit happen. He fired all these people. I don't know what he's talking about. The lower class is moving to the upper class. No, they're not.
Yeah, where did he get that
insane.
from?
That is what you need to tell yourself because Trump just fired, 200,000 people?
I don't know what number it is,
And
but
companies are laying people off everywhere because they're afraid of what the tariffs are going to do and all that. They're not moving into the upper class. That's just wishful thinking.
yeah, I couldn't believe you said that the lower class is getting smaller because people are moving into the upper class. Based on what? What is happening? Trump's only been in there for 4 months. What has he done to make that happen?
And if we're going to blame Biden for, Ukraine and Israel, are we going to blame Trump for India?
You know, India and Pakistan?
Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
Well, didn't Trump negotiate a ceasefire between those two countries?
Maybe for a minute, but they've been fighting since the dawn of time, but it still started under him. And first he said he wasn't even going over there. J.D. Vance said this ain't our problem.
Yeah.
So it is ludicrous to blame Joe Biden for what other country leaders do. Just like it'd be crazy for me to blame Trump for that.
Well, I got to push back slightly because I do believe if it was not for America, Israel would not be as offensive as they are. I mean, all of that stuff they're using says made in America on the side. Everything they're blowing up Gaza with, that's all our stuff. They're using the Moab, the mother of all bombs.
In the world. Look at what the Saudis just bought, $60 billion. Like, we're the arms dealer to the world. Anywhere there's a conflict, our name's going to be written on the side of that shit.
It's kind of like, if you ever seen the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, it is perfect description for this. I mean, you're right. We are involved on one side, or in some cases, both sides of virtually every conflict that takes place. But I do believe that...
Since that's the case, and our name's written on everything, Israel and Iran and Putin shit are on them. It's not on us. Just like I'm not going to blame Trump for India, because that'd be crazy.
You don't think America has any responsibility for what's happening in Gaza at all?
Well, I do, actually, but
okay.
It has more to do with the relationship between... It doesn't have anything to do with what started. It started because of what happened on October 7th.
Right.
That's what kicked it off.
But I'll tell you something. Hold on. I'll tell you something real quick. Even when you take October 7th happened for a reason as well. And we are part of that reason too.
Well, see, I've always thought that there are some, I don't like any treaty that says we can't even argue back. That's what the Israel, have you ever read the treaty with Israel?
No.
It says they can do whatever the fuck they want. We can't say shit about it. And we signed it 50 years ago. That's why it's like, y'all, we have to read the treaties. We need to renegotiate some of these treaties. But the answer is not this running around and running your mouth. The answer is doing the work, setting out the treaties, and like, actually working with people. Threatening people ain't doing shit.
Well, you should be happy we got Trump in office, because if there was a guy to read a treaty and say, listen, this was a bad deal, we're just no longer going to honor it anymore, that would be Trump.
Read anything? What does he read?
What he said, Trump don't read?
I ain't never seen him read anything. When he got stuff put in front of him by other world leaders to look at, they, tried to, just look at this. He didn't do it. I don't think he's that good a reader.
Well, Trump doesn't read because he makes content. He gives us stuff to read.
The UN is warning 14,000 babies.
So he's more the one that...
And then with other leaders of the free world, and they're handing you paperwork to read, your ass needs to be able to read that shit. Tim, stop that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. What do you say, the guy's illiterate? What are you trying to say?
So as long as a buffoon is popular, he can be president. Is that what you're saying?
Well, depends on your definition of a buffoon. Everybody thinks, every president we've ever had, there are Americans that think that person is a buffoon. You just got to find the right group of people. Every president gets called a buffoon.
I to talk to you about something real quick.
Sure.
First of all, I saw people in the comments writing, Obama got jewels from the Saudis, which he immediately turned into the government. He didn't keep that shit. That shit didn't go home with him. It didn't go to his library. He gave it to the government. That plane, they tried to work a deal with Biden to lease or loan that plane out during his administration, and Biden didn't get back with him. They've been trying to offload that plane since 2020. You don't see them laughing at Trump while they were there in Saudi Arabia and falling asleep and them snickering at him, walking off the wrong side. Like, nobody respects him. Quit acting like other world leaders respect him. He is a useful idiot.
Well, he's our idiot if you want to look at it that way. But you got folks that believe.
Because believe me, I don't want him to fail because we all fail. And that's my problem. The things he thinks he wants to succeed at are still failures.
But is he worthy of credit because at least he's trying? I mean, he is trying to do.
He's not trying. Like, they are not trying to fix the laws. What has Congress done since he's been in office? Nothing.
But that ain't him. That's Congress.
Fucking thing. Ain't no legislation been written. And those executive orders, whoever the next president is, better like them, because otherwise they can leave. They're not real legislation. So he's not trying shit. He's doing the bare fucking minimum.
You really see him that bad, huh? I mean,
Help us in the process.
what about the tariffs?
He only wants that plane because Reagan had a plane. That's the only reason he wants that plane.
What about the tariffs? I mean, won't that turn into money for us?
On the stage, Forbes magazine, one of the biggest financial magazines in the country, told him before he was elected, "Sir, you got tariffs all wrong." And he said, "No, y'all don't know what y'all are talking about." And I was like, "Oh Lord."
Yeah, but this is where I think Trump may be better than you're giving him credit for. It's one thing, you're right. The tariffs are passed on to the consumer as a tax. But if he can convince big box stores like Walmart and Target to eat the taxes or eat the tariffs, what?
But he's not. Walmart ain't gonna do that.
I think they've already started to say that they may eat some of it.
Sure. Well, let's watch those prices over the next month. We'll see. It all comes out in the wash. He can say whatever he wants to, but the problem is Republicans don't check. They don't bother to find out what he's doing, what he actually accomplished. As long as he says it, they're good with it. So, and if you're okay with, smoke and mirrors, that's fine. Be basic. But I expect some actual legislation to come out of Congress. I expect them to, you're talking about, these people that go against Trump, they ain't gonna have a job. Shit, they may not have a job anyway. You've seen these town halls.
Yeah, the town halls are a bit fiery. I'll admit that. But if it comes down to voting for a liberal versus a conservative, you think they're going to go for the liberal in some of these red areas?
Doug Jones to the Senate instead of Roy Moore. Alabama. They said it different. So don't say they won't. They will.
Yeah, but I'm going to bring what I always bring up against you, and that is you thought Alabama was going to come out in regards to Roe versus Wade. You thought the women in your state were going to come out, and they disappointed
I thought about that, and I actually thought maybe I was just wrong. But since I heard Trump say, thank God if it wasn't, I would have lost. Maybe that ain't true either.
What do you mean?
Trump said if it wasn't RIG, he wouldn't have lost. Meaning, so
Yeah.
I'm just saying that came out of his mouth, not ours.
Yeah. Oh, so you think that Trump may have actually cheated in 2024?
No, I'm just saying that's what he said.
Huh. Well, I do believe I heard somebody else say that as well, but I don't know. Do you think that may have happened? You think they may have rigged this last election?
Have you ever seen an election get counted that quick in your life?
Well, he won all 7 swing states. You telling me some of that may have not happened?
Ever. Now, lots of people have won all that shit, but have you ever seen the ballots counted that quick? That it was over before the night before the sun came up?
I think they normally end that quick. They don't normally.
When was that? It wasn't Bush. It wasn't Obama. When was that?
I don't know. I didn't think the elections take that long to count.
Never. It's always the next day.
All right, but to me it seemed like because you don't even hear the liberals complaining that Trump may have cheated. The liberals accepted that loss. I mean, they don't even. I don't think there was a lot of love for Kamala.
I don't know why they ain't clapped you yet, but we even say that shit and they clap us and spit down our accounts. No, but it ain't because we don't want to talk about it. Don't even act like that.
Yeah. I'm going
And
to.
my biggest problem is, you said promises made, promises kept. Yeah, he made his promise to Elon, he kept it. Elon got rid of everybody that was investigating him. They didn't save us any money. Like, where's all the money they saved us? Because Doge didn't save us that money.
Well, we don't.
It
Yeah.
canceled under Biden.
They're claiming the money was saved, but yeah, you raise a good point. No, I mean they haven't stated where the money is went. That is something that's up in the air. But I want you to hear something before I move it on. I want you to, because we're talking about whether Walmart will eat the tariffs, and this was Meet the Press this weekend. Now this is the Trump administration, but you tell me what he's getting wrong here.
Are raising prices on its consumers, Mr. Secretary, as early as this month due to the tariffs. Now, President Trump out with a very stern warning on social media saying Walmart, quote, should eat the tariffs, adding the company made far more than expected last year. Is the president asking American companies to be less profitable?
I was on the phone with Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, yesterday, and Walmart is, in fact, going to, as you described it, eat some of the tariffs that, just as they did in 18, 19, and 20. The other thing, though, that we are seeing, that Doug passed along to me, that with their consumer, the single most important thing is the gasoline price, and gasoline prices have collapsed under President Trump. So,
are you not giving them credit for any of that?
Well, gasoline prices went down last time under Trump because same thing now. Saudi is drilling more oil. That didn't help an American oil companies. American oil companies went out of business last time under Trump.
Yeah, but I mean, if as long as you're paying less at the pump due to Trump, should he get credit for that?
Not if he's gonna scream "Make America first," "Make America businesses first." Like if he said you can eat you can have less than $30. You only have two. But basically, if you'll spend more made in America, then why would we do that for gas? Why is it all of a sudden that cheap ass gas is okay, but China's cheap ass shit ain't? That don't make no sense.
I thought we always had that policy for the war machine. We'll import fuel, so if something breaks out, we have our own fuel reserve, so nobody can use that time to embargo or sanction us on fuel imports. We would already have it here. I thought we've always done something like that. It's bring in other people's fuel, so if there's ever a war, we already have our own.
More than their normal amount last time he was in office because he wanted to bring down the prices, and then they kept it down, and then when they started quit drilling, the prices went back up. Everybody blamed Joe Biden, but that had to do with them not drilling when they were supposed to and drilling when they weren't supposed to. They broke the agreement due to Trump. I'm not, if you can't be trusted for shit, the issue is I'm tired of Trump supporters telling me what he means, and then that way when they're wrong, they say, oh, he didn't mean that.
You took it out of
If you don't
context.
stand on some kind of principle, you don't stand for shit.
Damn, you took it out of context. Andy, I got to move it on, but you're taking him out of context. He was just telling you a joke.
No, I'm not, because you heard the man say, they might eat some of it. I went and looked it up while you were talking. Just like Walmart says that they sell us some American products. Yeah, that's less than 10%. Just want to say.
Let's see how it pans out. Always a pleasure, Andy. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. By the way, yes or no in the comments for you folks. Have you seen gas go down in your area? Yes or no? Have you seen the price of fuel drop, let's say, since Trump took office over the last 4 months? Are you paying less for fuel now than you were under the Biden administration? I'm thinking it went down a little bit. How about a goddamn $80,000 truck when those goddamn things going on? What are you trying to get at, William? Are you talking about Elon Musk's, what are you getting at with that? Blaming America for what foreign governments do is like blaming a gun for shooting a person. When Biden was in office, we were blaming any foreign government that started some shit and suggesting that it shows they don't respect Biden. Now Trump is in office, and now all of a sudden it's wrong to blame America for what foreign governments do. I gotta push back on you. I mean, when they don't respect Biden, or they don't respect Obama, or they don't respect Democrats, but when Trump gets in there and they does something wild, you can't blame America for what they're doing. Okay, because Trump was certainly blaming Biden for the wars that broke out. If I was president, it would never have happened. But now that he's in office now, well, you can't blame America. You're kind of Trying to have it both ways with that. Real quick, looking in the comments before we move on. Tap the screen, get the lights up. But those were lies, says Andy. Yeah. And what we're talking about also, and I meant to ask this with my last caller, but this one's still, for me at least, I'm still a bit disturbed.
The UN is warning 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in the next 48 hours without immediate aid. 100 aid trucks have been approved for entry into Gaza today, far short of the number needed, but a big jump after fewer than 10 trucks were permitted to enter Gaza on Monday.
Why are they starving them to death? I mean, October 7th was awful, but babies? You're starving babies? Why is that okay? Why is that not out? I mean, why are Americans not outraged by that? I mean, she's talking 14,000 babies in the next 48 hours could die. So let's say, for instance, the food gets through. If you're that close to dying of starvation, you're 48 hours away from it, you've probably already sustained permanent damage, especially at the age of a baby. You're probably going to have growth problems and things like that for the rest of your life. 14,000. 14,000. You tell me that don't sound like genocide? That's a whole generation of people growing up that are going to be dealing with the effects from that. 14,000. Next 48 hours they could die.
To Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's escalating its war in Gaza, killing hundreds of Palestinians over the weekend, including at least 5 journalists. On Sunday, Israel killed at least 160 Palestinians, including 36 people in the Al-Mawasi area, where Israeli warplanes bombed a tent camp housing displaced people. Multiple hospitals have also come under attack. Earlier today, Israel ordered the forced evacuation of Khan Yunis, Gaza's second largest city.
I mean, when you hear liberals protesting this shit and you hear about it on college campuses, I think the reason it's so easy to dismiss it is because most folks are not paying attention to what's really going on. When you hear how bad it really is, you start to begin to sympathize with why they're really speaking out against it. I mean, 14,000 babies? Is it really wrong for that? I mean, these kids on Columbia and Harvard and these elite colleges, they're not protesting on behalf of Hamas. They're protesting in regards to this shit going on, which is so bad, they're rooting for Hamas. I think they seem to be unpatriotic, or they seem to be enemies of America, because folks don't realize, or in some cases don't fucking care, how bad things are with those folks over there. I mean, like I said, all of this stuff they're doing it with weapons that say made in the USA on the side. This is on our hands, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you're liberal, whether you're a conservative. This is being done because of our participation. This is on our hands, whether you want to agree with it or not. If I'm in Palestine, I just don't see a reason to like Americans, no matter what side they are. Denkel, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey. 14,000. Why is there no sympathy in America for this shit? Why is there so little concern of what's going on with it? We're talking about the price of eggs and can I get gas for 50 cents less a gallon? And we're talking about babies dying of starvation the day after tomorrow.
I truly don't understand the psychology in going from, yes, Trump wants to stop it. He wants to stop the killing.
I think my caller had a call. We'll give him a second. You there?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, he wants to stop the baby from dying. He wants to stop all of this killing too. What do we got to do with that? That's somebody else's fight. That's what we went from. We went from we down with Trump because he's going to stop all of the killing in Russia, in Ukraine, in the Middle East. He's got the peace deals, the accords, and all of that stuff. Now he's going contradictory to his whole position in his last administration, and they right along with him as if they have not flipped their whole understanding of what he said. All of that peace stuff, The Saudis have told him they will not be signing any peace agreement with Israel until that war is stopped, and they have some kind of two-state resolution. But they
it ain't gonna be well, to be honest with you, shit. At this point, it ain't gonna be enough of them left to occupy a state. I mean, the way the folks in Gaza are getting annihilated. I mean, what are you going to population 600? I mean, it ain't gonna be enough of them left the way they getting blown up. I mean, shit. I mean, they gonna be.
You know, they started out with over like 2 million people. Like it's gonna be quite a lot of people. I mean, they're killing about the tens of thousands, but not the hundreds of thousands.
I mean, like every day I'm listening to reports that at least 100 here, 200 there. I mean, people are missing, they're under rubble. I would assume that if you live in Gaza, either somebody in your family or you know somebody that has died. I mean, like every single person there knows somebody that died in this. And in some cases, whole families have died. And we're just sitting back like, we ain't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad situation, and I would say that it's probably gonna go down in history as a G-side when people look at it in hindsight. Like it's kind of hard to see it now because we don't get to see inside anymore. They pretty much cut them off from the world.
Well,
so all we can tell is how many trucks go in there for food.
Well, one of the things that when I'm listening to the reports that come out of there, when you talk about we don't have any viewpoint from inside, I think at this point they've killed like 300 journalists. So if you do want to be somebody that walks around the streets of Gaza feminine, they're blowing up hospitals and schools and everything. If you're walking the streets, you can get it. I mean, they took out a bunch of ambulances and fire trucks and buried them.
The aid workers.
Yeah, and buried them. I mean, they literally taking out, stuff with Red Cross markings on it, shot them all in the head and buried it. So they didn't even want, I mean, this is like the definition of war crimes times 100.
And then what we're doing in this country now with Trump is we're jailing or evicting the people that protested.
But are we just heartless? I mean, look, I understand.
Pretty much, yes. To answer that question, yes. All you got to do is look at these MAGA in your posts and you'll see they don't give two shits about those people. They don't. They acted like they did when Trump said he cared about death. They acted like they did then. Their true colors are coming out right now. They don't give two shits. They saying that they're saying now that they deserve it, and they started it on October the 7th, and what can we do and all of that stuff. They forgetting about what they said 4 months ago.
Yeah. But, I mean, when you say they're heartless and they don't care about this stuff, I mean, they've shown that they have a heart. They've brought the white South Africans here. I mean, they claim that they were being mistreated. They brought them here, so clearly they have a heart.
Right, and now they done went over there, and now they talking to the South African farmers over there, and they like, what the hell y'all talking about? Wait a minute. G-side,
what do you think is behind it? Why did they? I mean, because why is the Trump administration making it sound like it was a desperate situation? And when you look at how they look when they came here, y'all don't look like y'all was in starvation. You don't look like what he said. You guys look like you're looking pretty damn good. At least when the immigrants from the southern border come across, they look like they were desperate. These folks look healthy than a motherfucker. Like, what you guys showed up eating a Subway sandwich?
Them kids look like they was at Disney World.
Yeah.
They gave them flags to wave when they came.
They don't look. Go ahead.
That was a favor to Elon, man. That was definitely some Elon shit. Help some of my people over there, cause ain't no way these motherfuckers had a damn presidential envoy meet them at the airport. It's gonna set them on a fast track to citizenship, giving them jobs and homes, all of the same shit that MAGA said that they despise. And he's doing it for them. And all they got to say, well, it was only 40 and 59 of them. Well, there's thousands more. That was just the first shipment.
Yeah. What about this though? Here's the pushback. What about the notion that at least for these white South Afrikaners, they coming over to work, they're waving the American flag, not the flag of their own country. They're being patriotic. This is what America needs. We need folks to come over here and work, not live off the system, and actually assimilate, not try to come over here and change America to their own country.
Listen, we could have this argument if they weren't treating the other people who were trying to do the same thing worse. If they were to say, okay, we doing this because these people deserve asylum from a horrible government or tyrannical government, but they, at the same time, everybody that's got a brown hue to their skin, no matter what their situation is, they sending folks back to Afghanistan. When they said, oh my goodness, Biden left all of those Afghanistanians over there to die. Now you're going to send these same people that have been fighting to get over here back to a situation where that's the Taliban. The Taliban they haven't retired.
Yeah, right. Well, Trump negotiated with him to give Afghanistan back to him, so we know they ain't retired. They actually been put back in power. But the way you making it sound with the white South Afrikaners, I'm going to ask flat out, are you suggesting there might be a hint of racism involved in that?
I mean, it would behoove me to say it in front of your audience. But if they can't look at the situation and understand that the only difference is the color of these people's skin, then, obviously it's beyond me to be able to try to convince them of what's right in front of their face. Obviously, they're going to say, oh, well, no, it's not that many of them, and what's the difference? And, all of that's just deflection, and that's what they got to do. They got to deflect, and keep saying that they won. What
if he brings a few black South Africans over? Would that change your mind?
I mean, just use the regular process that's been in place. They don't have to do nothing special. I'm not asking for no special, no special, attention. I'm just saying, use the same laws that are on the books. Don't try to change the laws, but bend them to one specific group of people.
I'm debating with black MAGA, blacks that support Trump over this stuff all day, every day, damn near, and they don't see it like that, didn't Cal? They still see Trump as being a hero, being a champion to black folks. What are you seeing that's different from them?
Listen, they got their thing, man. I try to watch them every now and then, but when they posting up with topics that say, black people are being racist toward white people, and they got the short end of the stick, and we get all of these privileges, and they never did nothing wrong to black people, and actually the first black slave owner was a black man, and when they kind of say shit like that, I don't know how to have a dialogue with somebody who's essentially saying that all the evils of the world is because of black people, and white people are just here getting abused when we have a history.
Yeah.
We have a
history. To be honest with you, I was in that live. I was in that particular group that always post that whites are under attack, and I actually believe that's kind of similar to what I refer to as Candace Owens like grifting. Is I'm going to, as a black person, I'm going to spend my time pointing out all of the flaws of the black community, primarily to a white audience, because it's a good grift. I'm not going to lie to you. You can make a lot of money doing that. And most of the
numbers, I look at their numbers and I'm like, holy shit, they 200,000 and 300,000 likes, and they got 700,000, 800,000 people in there watching them do a buck dance for an audience that's either laughing or using it as justification for how they feel. Yeah.
It's a good grift. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you can find a black person that's willing to constantly speak ills of the black community, there's a really good market for that, which is what Candace Owens and Officer Tatum and the Hodge twins, they've all cashed in on that. There's a lot of, and I think that's what because I even heard them say, once we get bigger, we're gonna do this. I mean, they got plans. Every single day, they are hosting a live that is critical of the black community. And they got hundreds of people tuning in. Every day they're doing that. They have plans to take that show on the road to just keep two black guys attacking black on black violence, blacks with welfare. I mean, just keep finding negatives of the black community. There's a guy who... Go ahead.
They got an example for everything you say too.
Yeah.
They good with it too, man. They good with it.
Well, that ain't hard to do, because if you hang around a lot of conservatives, like I've been hanging around, Fox News and a lot of conservative media outlets for years, 20 years or so, I know all of the pushbacks to anybody who talks about there was a party switch or who talks about the Civil War was over slavery. I can actually turn into a conservative if I needed to, because I know every response to all of that stuff. And they're learning them now, because I'm starting to hear them coming from them. They're slowly learning it.
Right, but I mean, do you believe that they really believe that, or like?
No.
I mean, if you
one of those, I know at least one of those dudes is a straight ex-convict. You don't have a black man get out of prison and start defending a white guy. No, I don't believe he believes that. No, I don't believe he believes it at all. But he's making money, so.
Yeah, I have seen quite a few guys get out of prison and use social media as a tool to make money, they will go wherever the money is the most at. So yeah, I get it, but it's just hard for me to have a conversation with them, and they're literally going back and they're talking about the African roots and how the African people were just as bad, and comparing everything, like look at the Irish, they were treated so bad, and I'm like, dude, man, how do you think they function around like they family and they friends?
They don't. If you took recordings of that shit and showed up to their family cookout, they would look at him like, "Are you really on land doing this shit?" They start throwing barbecue at the motherfucker. No, they don't. They're not saying that around their family. That's a grift. They're just doing that to get paid. Listen, I understand. If I was getting paid doing it, my family might be like, I think you crazy to the motherfucker, but I understand you get in the bag. Get that bag.
Right, yeah. If he's buying all of the barbecue,
right. Yeah. It's a grift. It's a grift.
Hey, before I go, what do you think about Elon Musk saying he's gonna back away now, and he's gonna not spend so much money on MAGA anymore? He's gonna hold his money to himself now.
Because it ain't. I think he's gotten out of Trump what he wanted to get, and in other areas it's costing him. Like with Tesla, he's lost a lot of money messing with them there, but he's gotten a lot of Starlink contracts, because that whole play card that Trump had in the air of all of those tariffs on Liberation Day, some of those smaller countries were able to get out of their tariffs by just getting a Starlink contract. So they purchased a Starlink contract from Elon, and Trump removed the tariffs. So he's gotten out of it what he wanted to get out of it. And he's gotten to the point now where he's starting to become unpopular. And once folks start paying the price for all the Doge firings and things like that, he don't want to be around. He want to be like the cool guy that don't look at explosions. He just want to be able to set it and walk away, and that shit blow up behind him. But he don't want to be there when all of the firings and stuff, like when planes potentially crash, or when you got weather systems going bad because they can't warn you about hurricanes and tornadoes due to his cuts. He won't be around anymore. He'll be gone. So it makes sense. Look, I got what I came to get. I'm out.
Well, like I told you in the beginning, he got what he was most after.
Yeah,
and
the data.
That was our data. He got it all now. So
yeah, he's gotten what he came to get. Then, Cal, appreciate it.
All right, like Rachel Maddow say, hey, watch this space on that data shit.
Yeah. Well, it'll be too late now. I mean, by the time it's realized, they'll be already gone like a bandit. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. You scared over the truth, cocksucker. They are white. I don't know what William Perry. I don't think what William Refrigerator Perry from the Bears, wasn't he number 72? What are you saying, William Perry? You said you're scared over the truth, cocksucker. Damn, how old are you? I had somebody call me a cocksucker in a long ass time. Well, you got like a thick Tom Selleck mustache and shit. cocksucker. Wow. Okay. I appreciate it. Some good comedy. Man, I ain't heard nobody use that one in a long time. Call me a cocksucker. Hold on, let me get my composure. That insult was hilarious. Tim, you got nothing on Robert Hur interview. Let me know more about it. I haven't heard it. Talk that shit and get paid, then flip the switch. I don't know. You said y'all black folks need to saturate the market, then they'll be worthless to MAGA. I'm trying to decipher that. What do you mean by that? If blacks saturate, first of all, saturate what market? And yeah, I don't. You got to explain it more. All the harassment and death threats, Candace Owens, Hodge twins, etc., get the danger they put their families in. You really believe it's a grift or for the money, dude? You need. Yeah, I do believe it's a grift. I mean, people are willing to take on danger. I mean, you got folks who will go out and be a $50,000 a year police officer with all the danger it comes with it. Yeah, I mean, being Candace is probably worth a few million. Yeah, it's worth it. People take on a lot. You got people who take on a lot more dangerous professions than Candace Owens and make a hell of a lot less. Yeah, people would do it for that. I mean, look, fuck it. I mean, first of all, everybody ain't scared of a threat. What do you mean? You don't see that? Really? That doesn't make any sense. He accepted a plane from a country who helps finance Hamas. Is crazy. Yeah, that is true. Continuing on with the program, Mike, good evening or welcome to the show. Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying? That some of these black conservatives are doing it for a grift? I'm not talking about the ones who favor Trump for a good economy or favor Trump for some of his Republican aspirations like being pro-life and things like that, or pro-Second Amendment. I'm talking about the black conservatives who run a program where all they do is point out the flaws of the black community. Do you agree or disagree with me when I say that's a grift?
100%. I think some of them are 100% grifting. Matter of fact, I'm not going to say no names, and in the last 48 hours, there's been two fairly prominent blaggers on this app. One, I'm not going to say any names. One said he regrets his vote, prominent on this app. The other one said he finally came clean and said he never voted.
Damn.
Because he had so much pressure from his family that I'm just telling you. Matter of fact, I'm going to send it to you. So I'm going to send you clips of it so you know I'm telling you the truth.
Well-known black conservatives.
On this app, yes.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
Matter of fact, I'll send you their TikTok name. There's people on your right now that know who I'm talking about.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, before you send it to me, so that you know I'm telling you, I'm being open with you on this. I may not keep their names hidden. They may be featured in the show if I get my hands on this. Because I may have debated them.
There's people in the comments telling you, I'm just telling you.
Send me what you got. Send me what you got, because I may feature them.
There's people in the comments right now telling you I'm telling you the truth. They said I was on the lives. I was on the panels listening to this. Crazy as hell. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of them, it is a grift. And the sad part about the grift is your grift is harmful. Because for every one black person that puts themselves in space with Trump supporters or MAGAs, that one black person turns, it's like gremlins. That white people hear that one black person and they'll go tell their white friends that they've heard they got black friends that agree with them just by hearing one person.
Yeah.
So it does damage to move this narrative forward, Tim. I don't even think that's up for discussion. But I do want to take a step back and talk about these tariffs real quick.
But before you start talking about that, I will say this for folks who are on both sides of the aisle with the program. I don't have any criticism towards an African American or a minority that vote for Trump based on conservative principles, small government, pro-life, pro-2A, pro-religion, things like that. Your feelings toward the transgender and LGBT community. I'm talking about the ones who simply have a platform of pointing out flaws in the black community, if a college full of black people graduate and they all are on the dean's list, you don't hear them say shit about it, or you won't hear them talking about the first black astronaut or the first black person. None of it. It's all negative commentary. I'm talking about them folks. I'm not talking about the ones who voted Republican for the principles or the stances that conservatives tend to go with. I'm talking about folks who just simply point out all of the negative shit in the black community to a white audience. But go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no. Again, I don't think it changes anything. I don't think it changes the narrative. I mean, you've said it here multiple times yourself that if you're willing to sacrifice your integrity or whatever the thing you're sacrificing for the money, it's good money, right? I mean, you said it. I mean, so
I've been told by several folks, like, man, you could make so much more money if you just would come over to our side and do that. And I actually believe it. I mean, you're well spoken, you know. But listen, I gotta look myself in the damn mirror. I mean, you know, my family have friends that watch the show. Like, if I'd done that, I got family members that probably wouldn't want to fuck with me. It ain't for me. I just don't want to do it. But I understand why some people do it, because it is financially lucrative.
And again, see, I'm with you. There's not enough money. There's not enough money for me to sell my integrity. It's just not for sale. It's just not. Especially when I know that the end result is so harming to black and brown and marginalized people. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about grifting for a product. We're talking about grifting and hurting the very community that you came from for $1. That's just not something that I could ever do.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, but like I said, I'm not, more power to the other person that's doing it. I understand why they're doing it. It is lucrative, but especially when you start doing things like playing games with history and you know, you're lying about historical context and making it sound like most of the slave owners in America were black and all this other kind of crazy shit. It just ain't in me to do that.
And when you see people like Johnny 11, it's like they're speaking a lot of truth. That's why it's dangerous. Because if they're doing it for a grift, they don't care what they say, and they don't care that the Johnnies believe what they're saying. They just say whatever they want to get that result. And there's nothing that I would ever do going into it knowing that I'm full of shit about the topic and understanding the end result for the $1. I just wouldn't do it. I would never ever do it.
Yeah.
But so anyway, let's talk about Walmart real quick. Let's talk about Walmart. So Walmart came out today, and I don't know if people go back and read all these publicly traded companies. You can go out to their websites and you can read their earnings calls. I don't know if have you ever read earnings calls? Tim?
No.
You ever go out and read it? So like Walmart had their earnings call on May 15th. Now this was before Trump came out and made his statements about them, and they better eat the cost. Because somebody heard their earnings call, and on their earnings call, while they were thanking President Trump, right? Because again, everybody's got to thread this needle, you know, for the progress he made recently on tariffs.
Yeah.
I have it open right in front of me. We're hopeful that it leads to a longer-term agreement between the U.S. and China that will result in even lower tariffs. We will do our best to keep our prices as low as possible, but given the magnitude of the tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we aren't able to absorb all the pressure given the reality of narrow retail margins. That was on May 15th. Fast forward to today. Walmart said, we've always worked to keep our prices as low as possible, and we won't stop. We'll keep prices as low as we can for as long as we can, given the reality of small retail margins. Does that sound like...
It doesn't sound like well, it sounds like Walmart and Trump and Walmart and MAGA are about to have about to come to to some conflict. Because Trump is not going to like that.
No, he's not going to like it. But and here's the thing: they try. Well, if he even reads it or understands what that meant, a lot of people won't understand what that quote.
They'll tell him. I'm sure members of the Trump administration is telling him. Walmart is making it clear they're not going to eat these tariffs. I mean, people are going to tell him.
Yeah. Well, and Home Depot is not saying they're going to eat the tariffs. Home Depot is saying there are. Matter of fact, Home Depot is saying there are items that they will be impacted by the tariffs and they won't have moving forward. So Home Depot is saying there are going to be things they're not even going to try to carry because it doesn't make sense.
Wow.
They said that today. So here's the thing. When you get the Jeremys coming up here talking about this, they're always paraphrasing what's actually happening. They're always trying to circumvent and change the context to what's happening. No, listen, I want everybody to understand this. These corporations have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. They cannot knowingly circumvent their profit margins because they're publicly traded. They can't just eat that cost and have their stock tank. Listen, that's how you get fired. That's how these CEOs get fired. And so,
but it's Trump there, Mike. I mean, he can make some things happen. Who knows? I mean, he might be to make this.
Yeah.
It is Trump.
If you start fluffing,
No, but I'm just saying, normal things, stranger things have happened. When it's Trump, he can sometimes, I mean, because a lot of them shareholders, not knowing that tariffs were coming, probably voted for Trump. I mean, most of the wealthier supporters. I mean, so it wouldn't surprise me if most of them voted for Trump.
Because they didn't think like a lot of Trump supporters in MAGA. They go, oh, well, he's just talking. They're not understanding. He is the prostitute in chief. I'm telling you, he is up for sale. I've been telling you that. As a matter of fact, Tim, what did I tell your ass yesterday? After the diagnosis, after Biden came out, and we read the statement, and I told you it'll be 24 hours before Trump says some shit about Biden after the pleasantries, after that one quote. Now he's come out, well, I don't know, maybe he was hiding something. It's not in him. It's not.
Are you talking about this? Are you talking about the stage 9 comment?
Yes. You see what I'm saying, Tim? And I told you the other day, it's not going to take long for Trump to turn around and say something and say, but
you understand that, right? I mean, being critical, being divisive has been so lucrative for Trump. Why would you change?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think it's starting to catch up with him? When you look across the globe right now, when you look at the conflicts, when you look at, we don't know if with Russia, Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, it's not looking good. What does he balance? Tim? The war's not over.
Well, you asked, is it catching up with him? My answer is a flat out no to you, because Trump has made more money probably in the last 4 months than his previous 70 some odd years. He still, despite his poll numbers, is doing better than the Democrats. MAGA is incredibly happy. There's a few MAGA, like you pointed out, that may be saying something. But for the most part, if the election was held today, Trump would still be highly competitive with Kamala Harris. I don't think it's catching up with him at all.
You don't think so?
No. I think Trump is still doing pretty damn well, because the liberals are not doing well their own. I mean, the liberals don't have a leader. The liberals now are caught up in this Biden prostate cancer shit and hiding his cognitive health. The liberals don't look that good either.
What are the liberals? What is the expectation of the liberals right now, Tim? Since you say they're not supposed to look so good, what is the expectation of the Democratic Party in this moment right now? What should they be doing?
Telling the fucking truth. You knew Biden was in decline, and you know that Biden probably knew he was dealing with cancer. Telling the truth is what they should be doing.
What does that have to do with the Trump administration right now?
Because the Trump administration is likely to compete with the Democrats, and if people don't trust the Democrats, it's going to help Trump out in the future.
MAGAs don't give a fuck anyway. So we're not talking about MAGAs.
Yeah, but the independents too, though. But Mike, even the independents.
But set MAGAs aside. You're just talking about the independents, and you're talking about those fringe voters, right? That's what we're talking about.
I think some Democrats are even not. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of folks sat out the 2024 election. I mean, the Democrats just did not energize the crowd.
Tim, I told you this before, and I'm going to tell you again. And you have more, and I've been reading and seeing more of it. I told you then, when you hear people talking about, I'm voting for Trump for the economy, or I'm voting for Trump for deportation, or I'm voting to keep women, it's all been fear mongering. And where they were smart, is they knew that people would react to those things. They knew that people have a problem with those things. And they use it to their advantage. But I'm talking about substance now. See, all the campaigning is over with. He has to produce. And I'm asking you, not his pockets, I'm saying politically and legislatively, what has he done and what has he accomplished?
Well, in regards to what has he accomplished, it depends on who you ask. Because while I'm no fan of just taking broad statements at face value, if you're on the right and maybe some independents, you're going to favor Elon Musk finding so much waste, fraud, and abuse. When you say, what has he accomplished? Some folks believe he's stopped millions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse from going places. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah. But you're saying what people believe. Have you seen anything? See, this is the thing. You say that and they say that. When you ask them for the substance, where was the findings? No one has anything.
Well, we haven't seen evidence that Elon has actually done this, but we also haven't seen proof that he has not.
Again, Tim, listen, we didn't make up the fact that they found the shit. They did.
Yeah.
We didn't say, see, this is the thing about this whole conversation for me. We're not talking about things that the left is just making up. I would admit if they're just full of shit or blowing smoke, because it is what it is. I'm saying to you, based on their rhetoric, based on their reporting, based on their messaging, what in the hell have they shown us?
Well,
that they've done?
But that's what I keep telling you is that when they say they've done stuff, for you as a critic, they have to show their work. For Trump supporters, him saying he's done it is enough. You don't have to show it to them. Just simply saying I found waste, fraud, and abuse, or I got rid of USAID, useless donations, money was going overseas that didn't need to go. Just saying it is enough. It's enough. So for a lot of folks in this country that believe that what he says is enough, he's done a great job so far as president.
But we're not talking about them, Tim, because I just said they're not going to change no matter what.
I think some independents. No, I think some independents too are taking him at his word too. Mike.
I just want to get you on record here.
Sure.
You're saying that you believe that there's some independents that are taking Trump at his word and believe he's doing a good job with Doge, with the economy, with deport. You think there's some independents that are watching his progress right now and think that this is right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Listen.
I don't think everybody who thinks Trump is doing a good job is MAGA. I think there are some folks that still see maybe protecting women's sports. To me, it's a tiny, minute issue. For the folks on the right and a hell of a lot of independents, that's a huge issue. Securing the border. Now, securing the border is something tangible that Trump has done. You have seen the results of that. Border crossings are down like 90%. There's no denying that Trump, in regards to securing the border, has been effective, up to and including breaking a law to do it. So I don't think you can deny that.
What increase is illegal? First of all, it's all done illegally. Through executive order.
They don't care about that. They don't care about that.
I know they don't, but that's him. We're not talking about them because they don't give a fuck about all the children dying in Gaza. They don't care. Those same people that don't care that he's doing this shit illegally don't give a fuck about them kids either.
True.
So I'm not talking about them. What I'm telling you is this: at the end of the day, those independent voters you're talking about. You gotta look at the tea leaves. Nebraska electing the first Democratic mayor that happened to be black ever in Omaha, Nebraska. You gotta pay attention to those little things that are going on right now. That's not a little thing. There are people that are not on this app. There are people that are not in the media, and you know they're not gonna show it on Fox or any right-wing outlets. There are people dealing with real consequences behind this shit. There are real people dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Medicaid.
He's trying to tell the GOP not to touch Medicaid.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that's a chopping block.
Listen, if you're trying to get this budget here, we got to make some moves. They don't care, Tim. They don't care if 7 million people are going to lose their medical coverage because Give me evidence that they've shown any compassion for anybody other than white folks right now.
Hold on a second. Let me ask you something, because when I talked about the transgender and protecting women's sports, I said that's such a tiny issue. I got an individual that stated that the transgenders won over 600 medals in the last Olympics. Have you heard anything like that? 600 medals with the transgender athletes?
Ask them for a source, Tim. I'll give them $1 for every one that I'll give them $100 for every one they can. This is what I'm trying to tell you, Tim. Listen,
Johnny 11 in the comments. Johnny 11 in the comments said no, it's 900.
Yeah, I know, and it'll be 2,100 before we get off this fucking live.
What?
It was 10 million, 11 million, 18 million coming across the border. But here was my point, Tim. What happens when, like right now? I don't know if you guys pay attention to this. Because of the tariffs, what do you think is going to happen to the black market, Tim? What do you think is going to happen to the black market?
What do you say? People are going to be selling shit illegally to avoid the cost of the tariffs?
You don't think that people smuggling tariff items is going to increase, Tim?
Yeah.
Bad actors are always looking. Bad actors are always looking for a reason. Matter of fact, there's times like this that make good actors do bad shit.
Yeah.
That's not hyperbole.
But what about the claim by the Trump administration that Walmart has agreed to eat the tariffs? Now, I got your report from Walmart, but you got to assume if Trump done told the people they're going to eat the tariffs, he's behind the scenes trying to make that a reality.
Well, but again, Tim, those that believe him, those MAGA fluffers, the orange-fingered people, they don't care. They're going to believe it.
What did you call the orange what?
The orange-fingered people is what I call them.
What the hell is that?
They're fluffing. They got to grab onto something.
I thought you meant they were eating Cheetos or something. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's his color. It comes off. It's not permanent. But what I'm saying is this. Tim, they're going to believe it anyway. You've had people come on your show and said they got $1.98 gas after Trump said it.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
I have heard that, and that's crazy.
And we did the research, Tim, and I pulled up the map real time. And there's not $1.98 gas any fucking where. My point is, you're going to get people telling you, I went to Walmart yesterday and my prices were down. No substance at all, just going with what he's saying, Tim.
Yeah,
but the people that are really being impacted, see, here's my thing. There are people that believed in Trump. There are people that have been waiting for these prices to go down. There are people that have been waiting for these tariffs to do the right thing. There are people that have been waiting for all these things, and they thought he was going to do it with some sort of integrity that he never had. Now, they're looking at the repercussions of it, Tim.
Yeah, but Mike, what about the notion that the guy has only been in office for 4 months? You got to give him a damn chance. Maybe you're rushing.
I thought that motherfucker said day 1, 2 weeks, tomorrow. I'll get it done after I got sworn in and when I'm in office. I didn't say that. No. He said that. And now you got your Trump supporters coming up here. Give him time. You can't get it done. They didn't vote for that shit. Not one of them voted for time.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll say this: the midterms are still 1.5 years away. If he could meet more of his promises before the midterms, the fact that he didn't do it in 24 hours might be forgiven. If by the midterms both wars have ended, the economies went down, gas and eggs and all this other shit is under control, I don't think the fact that he took long to do it, took 1 year to do it or so, is going to be a big deal. Certainly, if the Democrats don't come up with something that really attracts the people, I think Trump still has time.
Let me ask you this, and then I know you got other callers. Does it take longer for prices to go up or for prices to come down?
It may never come down once they get people used to paying it.
And so what happens with these greedy shareholders and these oligarchies and these capitalists that are looking at those dividends? Do you think they're going to lower their prices organically, Tim? I want to
say no, but like I said, Trump can make shit happen sometimes.
So you think he's going to force people's hand to bring prices down?
I think he'll try.
Well, of course, he tried with Walmart. He just tried with Walmart.
Yeah.
And Walmart told him to take his 2 fingers and put them where they're not supposed to be right now. Because at the end of the day, they have. Listen, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna drop. Here's the one thing that is certain, and it's for certain. And you're watching it with Elon. Why do you think Elon is taking the stance he's taking?
What do you mean?
Why do you think Elon's saying he's going to step?
I think Elon is tired of the popularity he's losing. I mean, he's looking like the devil.
And he got his money, Tim.
And that, yeah.
What'd you say? And that.
And that. Yeah, like I told Denkow, I told that to Denkow. He's gotten what he came to get out of, he gave Trump $350 million or whatever. I think he realized, I think he feels like he's gotten what he came to get.
Got what he came to get. He didn't, but what he didn't measure is the backlash in
Right.
his company. And
Right.
the fact that his board, which is exactly what I just said, right, about Walmart and Home Depot and any other corporations, his board said, if you don't get your ass back here
Yeah.
and deal with this.
I don't know, but let me ask you this. I'm with you on Elon was trying to profit, whether it's the data as Denkow brings up or other but why the firings though? Because if he had came in and simply gave Trump money and tried to get the stuff he want through Trump, through somebody else in Trump's administration, he could have succeeded. Why did he have to come in and fire so many people?
Because remember I told you that there's multiple verticals going on here, Tim? I told you the white supremacy, the white Christian nationalism, burning down Washington from within, the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts. That was their initiative to burn it down. They used Elon to help burn it down, but and his thing on his end was to get his money, to get his investment.
So you do believe that what Elon Musk is a white supremacist?
100%. And here's the thing, but what I'm telling you is he was getting his money. If this shit doesn't go, Ocean just said it. If this shit and it's not going to go right, everybody on Trump's administration and in his orbit will be the fall person. Kristen Noem don't even know what habeas corpus is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's generally what happens, though, when you're around Trump. Trump survives and you end up getting thrown under the bus. So that makes sense. Mike, I do got to move it on.
And that's why Elon got the hell out the way.
Well, they can still reach out and touch him for congressional hearings and shit like that to come up. Because the firings and things like that he's part of, a lot of them folks get fired against their contracts. We're told that you're being fired for lack of performance and you've never had a performance review. There's a lot of class action suits coming from federal employees in the future.
Yes, Tim. Yes, there are. But remember this. They said he wasn't the leader of Doge. You got to remember.
Yeah.
They changed. So he will say, I wasn't in charge. You remember?
Yeah, but if you're on television, I mean, it's kind of like the same class action suits where like Uber and Lyft said that the drivers are not employees and they were able to show in court. You're treating them like employees. You're not giving them choices that are contrary. And they actually, Uber and Lyft lost a ton of money. If you look at the way Elon was performing, the idea that he was not the leader of Doge does not measure up. If you didn't go and ask Trump or you asked the Trump administration, if you're saying Elon was not the leader of Doge, who was the leader for the time period that Elon was working as part of Doge? And when you look at the actual command coming from that person versus Elon, it's pretty clear that ain't true. I mean, it's gonna be pretty obvious that Elon was in charge.
Yeah, but what they're going to do is whoever was right under Elon, all those other people they brought in, they'll be the sacrificial lambs, just like Pete Hegseth's advisor, who was the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm telling you, Tim? I mean, that's what's going to happen because Elon knows too much.
Let's see. All right, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, bro.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. It's Shaggy. It wasn't me. It's gonna be a whole lot of that. That depends on if the liberals win, though. If the liberals win, they're gonna. I mean, because like I said, there's a whole lot of federal firings that came by way of Doge that are just flat out illegal. I mean, federal contractors have employment contracts, and it governs how you can terminate them, things like that. And I mean, they just went on a firing spree. It's gonna be hard to argue that you fired whole centers and thousands of people at a time and you did it by the book. Like you just went in and said, get rid of all these people. And when it comes down to them having to prove it, they're not going to have anything for that. They're just not. Now, I guess Trump would have probably attacked the judge or whatever that's over the case. But I expect sometime in the future to see a lot of federal employees receiving back pay and class action settlements, because what they did to those folks is terrible. There's just no, there's no way that was done accurately. I'm not here to pretend like there may not have been waste, fraud, and abuse within the federal government, or there were not employees that were not performing or not coming to work. But you got to do that on an individual basis. You can't go in and just fire 40% of a department or some shit like that without dragnetting innocent people in that. And just guaranteed there are innocent people in all of that shit they were doing, because they were just holding up a chainsaw, for instance. With them holding up you're just not doing it surgically. So yeah, there are going to be people getting back pay for that. And certainly throughout the FAA and the NOAA, the Weather Service, all of them folks. In terms of the USDA, there's probably USAID employees that are going to get. They're just people going to come up out of the woodwork. It's going to be like a P. Diddy lawsuit where women are just popping up like, you did me wrong. It's going to have to be some kind of huge class action deal, because so many people were wrongfully terminated. So many people were. There's just, oddly enough, Mike, and then Cal was talking about, the lack of concern for humanity. It is really weird that MAGA and Trump supporters have so little concern. These are Americans they're firing. These are not folks from overseas or illegal. These federal employees are Americans. These are people that might live next door to you. These are plenty of people that voted for Trump that may have been at the rallies and shit like that, losing their jobs, and people just have no concern. It's kind of one of those deals where I don't give a fuck what you do, just as long as you don't do it to me. I don't care how bad it is, as long as you don't do it to me, I'm okay with it. And that to me just seems wrong. It just seems like it's I don't know, damn near immoral. But anyway, let me go ahead and what the hell did I just hit? Let me go ahead and continue on with the program. Tap the screen, by the way, get the lights up. What am I hitting over here? All right, tap the screen, get the lights on up to 40,000. Appreciate that. And we'll move it on. Let me clear this one out. Okay, there we go.